Hey, God Almighty, this is the Sweat Equity Podcast. I am your host, Law Smith, sitting here with power attorney to the stars, Mr. Stephen Fantetti.
How's it going, man?
Let's do a little, I got to do a little upfront stuff that I should record after you leave, but I'm just going to do it now.
The house cleaning stuff?
Yeah, just like when we do, we also co-host the Triple Option podcast when college football's in season. You know how it is. You got to start out, hey, go out there, go on the Laughable app. This is our kind of our sponsor. Go on the Laughable app. Go on there and tag Law Smith, tag Sweat Equity, tag Stephen Fantetti. I think you can tag non-comedians on this podcast on this app.
What are you trying to say?
Well, it's an app. It's an app. You know, because all the podcast apps suck.
Yeah.
You like
Podbay,
right?
Which doesn't suck.
Well, you might want to check out Laughable because you can you can tag people. So if I go on another podcast, it'll be like, hey. He went on this other podcast over here.
Ooh, I like that. He probably doesn't do that.
Right.
Ooh,
none of them do it. So it started for comedians, and I think they started branching out for more. So Laughable apps it's on the Apple Store and the Android Store, all that stuff, all that nerd stuff, wherever you get your apps. And then find me, tag me, and then go subscribe to Sweat Equity. If you're still a laggard, as they say in the business.
75-cent word.
In the business marketing community, old school businessy term, the laggard community. You're on iTunes probably listening to this, and you're not gonna download another app. That's fine. Just go on iTunes, give us a 5-star, give us a review, subscribe. Make sure it'll if you miss like 3 episodes, it'll unsubscribe you for whatever reason. Most people. So make sure you just go over there and just tap it again. That's all you need to do for the show. Until I get a Squarespace sponsorship, that's what I'm working towards. Look, at Squarespace, I'll throw it out there. Look, give me a promo code, and let's see how many people get sites going through Squarespace. They may be done through my company, Tokubaga Consulting. We've done. Yeah, yours is FantettiLegal.com. That's your website. Your business refined. You got to say it like a radio guy.
I love it.
And I bet we can get 30 promo codes within the year if they give us just a promo code. I don't even want cash right now. I just want to show the ability to have a sponsor right here. How do you think about that? You don't like giving anything away for free. So
I mean, once in a while.
for a podcast where you're trying to show legitimacy, I think you got to do some stuff like that.
I think so.
A little off the cuff.
It's like a buy one get one free thing you do in a store if you're selling goods. Why not?
I've already made 100 sites through them. So at the very least, I could put in my own code.
I like that.
But let's do this.
Keep hydrating.
Anything else? Yeah. I got a smart water.
Any other housekeeping stuff?
We're doing a Mevo camera. So we've been trying this on the last couple of podcasts.
Legit, too.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. The idea is it's supposed to follow your face, whoever's talking. It's like a $500, $600 camera. Thanks to our buddies at 28 Monkeys, our video partners. And yeah, man, we want to see like I can see myself on the phone, and I can see my face is blocked by the mic. So you can kind of have your own like little producer's village while you're doing it. It's pretty dope. Once I figure out how to get a better kind of framing going on, then we're going. Then we're really then we're gonna do the Sweat Equity Live where we promote it. I get you and 2 other people that can handle a lot of questions off the cuff.
Yeah.
And we'll do a live show where people can ask questions.
I'll be there.
Just straight up.
Heck
I think that'll be fun.
That'd be awesome. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we've talked about it for months, and just I need to do it. We got to find a date. I got to figure out who the other 2 people I want on there. I think I got productivity expert and someone else I want.
I think I know a couple people too. You can use.
Yeah.
People that you already know.
Okay.
So
right.
People that you probably know that just maybe not be thinking about it, but you've told me about them. So we'll make it happen.
We know our boy DC, another power attorney.
Great friend of the show.
To the stars.
Yeah.
If you go to MickeyKeenan.com, you need a personal injury lawyer in Tampa. He'll hook that up. Mickey listens to this podcast, so he'll enjoy this.
Oh, nice.
What up, dog? We got to get him on soon. But all right, so I said let's get up. We haven't had you on the podcast. We need you at least quarterly on here.
I would love that. We just had breakfast.
Yeah, just had
Killed
some breakfast. Oh, killed an omelet.
Killed it. It was good.
Fuck that Denver omelet, son. No. I got out of court about a month ago, small claims court, and I
Oh,
was
yes.
bitching to you about the whole process.
Correct.
And here's where I'm at. Okay, so we went small claims because we thought it would be easier, right? So small claims is $5,000 or under. Is that federal or is that state? And you can tell me what I should and should not say publicly.
Yeah, and let's just stick with state right now because you weren't even close to being in the federal realm.
No.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know what the lines are. I guess.
Yeah,
Between
I don't know if there is. I don't know off the top of my head federal.
I think
levels
the max for small claims is 5.
for the most part.
Yeah. So it was one of those things. It's like it gets done quicker and all that. And attorney's great. She was awesome.
Yep.
I'm not mad at her for anything at all. If anything, she showed a lot of patience dealing with the other side.
And you got a favorable judgment, if I recall.
I did.
Yeah.
Now, we're in this weird limbo. It's been over a month, and not a dime has been sent over. We've even extended payment options because we're just like, this could rattle on, at least get something instead of nothing.
Correct.
Until we get everything, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. So to me, it's weird. To me, in my head, and this is how I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Like the judgment goes down. In my head, you immediately walk out the court and you go pay it on a credit card or a check.
If only.
I know that's not how it works. But that's how you feel, right? I'm separating feelings from the actual kind of protocol.
Yeah, from the process. Yeah.
So like, I feel like, okay, all right, you should have to pay this off. Whatever your judgment is, you should have to pay it off within a month.
Sure.
Or a week or
Sure.
whatever. I don't understand this whole process, I guess. And maybe you can I was going to say assuage. I don't know if that's the right word.
Could be in the right context. Good enough.
How about massage?
Swage was
Pretty
better.
close. How about massage my anxiety a bit?
Well, here's the quick thing to jump to the case.
Or
the case on
me
it.
being unreasonably mad.
Well, no, I definitely don't blame for being mad. I mean, if someone owes a debt, they're supposed to pay it. That's just the way it works. And if they're going to say, I don't owe it to you, it's too late. The court's already said you legally owe the debt. So once you get a judgment, and that's the one thing with civil law is it's not like criminal law where, if they find you guilty and you got to do time, they arrest you on the spot and they put you in jail.
Right.
So civil, it's a little different. And I don't know if you've ever heard the saying law where they say, sometimes the judgment's not worth much more than the paper it's printed on.
Yeah.
And for the reason for that is because there's an enforcement mechanism that's missing sometimes in civil judgments. And so you can win and the court says, yes, you are legally right to the money, but the court's not going to go out there and get it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get it yourself. So the big problem comes down to, well, is this person really going to pay it or are they not? And the biggest example that I can give you, and I know you hate because all roads go back here sometimes when you and I talk, even off the air about stuff, is all roads go back to O.J. Simpson again. Because O.J. Simpson
Can this guy go away?
I know,
please.
man. He can't go. He's getting out of jail in October, maybe. But
oh my God,
he's always in the news. But listen, his case, a civil trial.
Yeah.
Okay, found him liable civilly, no jail time. But what happened? He owed multiple, between $20 and $30 million. He owed the Goldmans.
Yeah.
Right, and the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, he's paid $0 in that debt.
Okay.
Okay, because like I just stated, and set the example to bring it back full circle, is you do not have the ability to force someone to pay you on the spot. And a couple of reasons why is because you can lose a case and not have the liquid assets or monetary means to be able to pay it right away.
Sure.
So how you have to go get that, the court just says, look, you're legally entitled to it, but you got to go get it. They're not going to legally say or mandate. Now, what that does, unfortunately, now is it puts more pressure on the party that prevailed, in your case as the plaintiff who brought the action, is you have to find ways to collect yourself. So whether you want to try to attach liens to people's property, again, you got to file legal you got to get a lawyer, you got to file those with the city, and then you want to try and do garnishment of wages of people's paycheck. I mean, you got to get after people and do this and get the money. I mean, just like the OJ case, they were trying this, where the Goldmans and the Browns were trying to get. I mean, he tried to write that book, which he did write. I actually read it. It's allegedly called "If I Did It." You know what I mean? So he tried to release that, and the Goldmans and Browns have got all the rights to it.
Sure.
And they got to be able to do that. And they tried to put stuff like liens on his property. Well, guess what? Florida's a homestead state. His homestead is in Florida, so you can't do anything to a house in Florida when it's homestead protected.
Okay.
So I got to file mine, actually, and I remember that. So I just got one. So
Homestead protection.
yeah.
I need to do that?
Yeah. So
what is that?
You know what homestead protection is?
Man, look.
I'll keep a long story short, but essentially
I keep smart people like you and my insurance agency to go talk to me like I'm 5.
Oh, I thought you would have done this. Usually when you buy
I'm
a
sure we
home,
did. I'm sure we did.
Oh, I mean, even before me.
I double check.
Yeah, but you want to file for homestead if it's your primary residence in the state of Florida. Not every state has the homestead protection rights, but Florida does. And without getting into too much of the gritty details, I don't want people to fall asleep. But essentially, if it is your primary residence, you can file paperwork with the state. And first of all, you file it with your county municipality. But you will get the protection. There's a lot of tax breaks you can get with it from your house, from having it homestead protected. If you ever get sued, they can't get your home.
Okay.
And any auditors or creditors or tax rights, they can't take your home from you. It's also free from civil judgments.
It's like putting a moat around your house.
That's one way to put it. Or a force field.
Look, I gotta make it. I gotta make it cartoony.
Yeah. So, and there's more. I mean, there's certain obviously the first qualifiers. It's got to be your primary residence, and there's a couple other factors. I mean, it was actually on the bar exam, if I can recall. But you have if you want to file for this, it's one of the most important things you can do to protect your home as your most important asset. But again, it's free from civil judgments. And so why I said that, to bring it back again, is for the fact that if it comes to the event that you get a judgment and the defendant who lost is not paying, and you have to now go after them to get your money, you got to know what avenues are available to you, and going after someone's property in that regard might not be available if they have the homestead protection. So you're gonna have to know, is it wage garnishment, or do I have to file liens on certain property, someone's boat, someone's car? I mean, you can do these things and collect your property that way.
Business.
Try to get repossessed. I mean, whatever's available to you.
Expanding locations.
Yeah, apparently has no money, but whoever it is, but something's happening.
How do you
I don't
expand? That's what's baffling to me. It's
the way that's done is I'm guessing, but if you have outside investors putting the money forward, not you personally.
They get boned. They should, right?
I don't know
who's
getting what, but I do know that. I do know that.
Because, all right, if we went into business together, right, sure. We opened the Cuban coffee drive-through concept.
We're talking about that. Or the best pizza spot.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Let's just stick with the coffee one, because we don't want to open that
Cuban
door.
coffee for the public. If that actually happens, right?
Yeah.
My thing was all right, we go into business on that. I mess something up.
Yes.
In most situations, of course, the way you would set it up personally. I'm just saying as an example.
Sure.
Most businesses, the way they would do it, if there was a partnership or I had investors, you could be on the hook, because that's the deal with having a partnership of sorts. Small partner, big partner.
Depends what time. I mean, are you talking about an actual partnership?
Yeah, but all right.
Depends. If you're a general partnership.
We get the hot coffee stuff.
Yeah.
We get a lawsuit that way.
Yeah.
But it's my bad.
Sure.
And I do the day-to-day operations.
Yeah. So if you're
as
a
an
limited
investor, you're still kind of involved, right?
Well, that's a very good question, because people don't realize this. In partnerships, two of the partnership types that you can have, among others, is a general partnership and a limited partnership. And this is good you said that, because as a general partnership,
I'm writing down the notes so I can cut some of this video out for your site.
No, that's fine. But a general partnership, all the partners are liable for the business, and they share in the profits and losses equally as well. And so they're all going to be on the hook in the event of something that occurs. If it's a limited partnership, it's different. You have to have at least one general partner who's on the hook for the business and responsible for running its operations. But limited partners have no oversight or any responsibility to actually run the business, which means that your liability is limited only to your investment, hence the terms limited partners.
Gotcha.
And they don't help run the business. All they do is they put money forward, they get a return on their investment by getting the profits, however they're allocated in the business, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be personally on the hook otherwise if you're a limited partner. So that's why I say when you say partnerships, I want to make sure I explain that, because that's not always the case.
Right. Then that's good.
It's good to know that difference.
That's what this podcast is for,
there
man.
You go.
Got to break it down for dummies.
No,
I'm one of them. No, I mean,
not dummies.
Look, there's only so many things you can pay attention to.
Of course.
And that's kind of the idea of the podcast was hey, here are some tips. Here's some pragmatic advice.
Sure.
When I got out and I talked to you on the phone about it, I was like, we got to pod about this.
Yes.
Because it is for the small business owner, I don't think they realize, a lot of people realize, I looked at my hours spent, and it took over a year basically.
Yeah.
and it could have been sped up for sure because I kind of balked a good amount.
Sure.
I was like 80 plus hours of just because I track all my hours like an attorney.
Right.
Because I want to know. I did it this time to know what it's like if I have to do it again. Right. What do I need to be present, and then what do I need to do for my contracts to set it up?
Correct.
And something I messed up that you told me when you did my contracts was be very specific on payment dates.
Yes.
And I went too quickly and didn't do that.
I don't think you knew those at the time either.
I didn't. And so that was the thing where it was like, if it was a bigger case, it could have been an issue, right? That was something I just earmarked, like, oh, this could have been really bad down the line.
But I think the good thing for you was it doesn't matter at the end of the day, there was a clear breach still.
Right.
And so that always protects you if your contract's good enough laying out the breach.
Sure, but I want to make it as tight as possible.
Of course, you do. And that's one of the ways. There
can be something else down the line that I don't see that 100%. Happens.
We should actually look at it again if you want to do that.
We will. I've got that was one of the questions. It's like, what I need to do is figure out how to template it out in like an Excel spreadsheet so I can pop in all the numbers and it populates for me. Right now I'm having to do it in Word and there's just a lot more human error.
Yeah, Excel's a lot better. It's like a double check on your math or something, so to speak.
But like I can just hit save as or print and it just it'll pop it into a PDF.
Computes it, spits it out.
Yeah. I can't find a good proposal software to do it. The way I want to, but that will put people to sleep.
So let's
mention Excel. Like,
so let's get back to your
Excel's the new ZZ.
As soon as you said Excel PDF, people now check that. No, I'm kidding. So let's go back to your fact pattern. You were saying about owning a coffee shop, and you're saying if it was a partnership, was there something more you wanted to get into with that, or were you done? I wasn't sure if. Because I got into the explanation about partnerships.
Yeah, no, that's all.
Just knowing what your liability is. Because you're right. Because there's people I talk to all the time that come up to me to ask me questions about, oh, listen, I got this partnership going, and they're like, it's, and then I ask them a couple of quick questions, and they'll say, oh, don't worry, I'm definitely protected, and then they don't realize that they're in a general partnership and everyone's responsible for everything. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And it's like, it's good to, like, you could say you're in a partnership is one thing, but knowing what your liabilities when you're in a partnership and how you've defined it, because you should be doing corporate documents like having a partnership agreement, keeping meeting minutes, things you do to understand who's making decisions, whose responsibilities are to perform certain obligations, so you understand what your liability is.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
I know. Well, again, it's tough. I fully believe most small business owners that get into owning their own business are really good at one thing.
Right.
They're not very good at the other parts.
Correct.
And so that's why we always talk about, you need to hire a good team around you.
Right.
A lawyer, accountant, those are 1 and 2.
Major key.
I always say 1 and 2.
Yep.
Insurance, figure that out. And then someone like us that's kind of business coachy, does the marketing side, helps with that.
Marketing definitely is your top 3, 4 you got to do.
Some people think they can do it. It's crazy. Branding as well. It's funny.
I didn't even attempt to do any myself. You know that.
Right.
I had you do everything for
me.
We
can and we were like, let's slow roll it too. You don't have to do everything all at once.
Of course. I think there's so much more you've wanted to do for me, and I've kind of said, let's do it piece by
pump
piece.
the bees.
Well, not that you were telling me I had to do it, just that these things are possible is what you told me. Not like you have to do it all at once. You just told me, look, these are the steps you can do. There's more out there that you can do. And people like me, I love, marketing my business and things like that. And I understand what's needed. But, how to execute it, what you need, what it should look like, what could be too forceful, what people are looking for to identify with. You need somebody else who's experience in those areas, and that's kind of why I got law involved. So who knows that stuff?
So IT was my 5th one.
That's actually
you need to lock down some kind of IT.
Yeah.
If you're Windows or Mac, it doesn't matter. But
for numerous reasons,
we're
actually,
so digital now. It to me, it's the cost of doing business, no matter what you do. I'm actually glad you said that, because I actually, to my students the other day, I teach a class at the law school here in Tampa locally, and it's funny because part of my class is about, or the whole class is centralized about corporate business planning. And one of the items which you just talked about has been come up, I've been talking about it lately, is if you're an attorney advising businesses on things they should do to plan their business, depending on what business they do and what information they're taking in from their clients and customers, is depending on how sensitive it is, you have an obligation under the law to have certain types of data protection security protocols, IT-wise. Yeah.
If you have their information, if you ever get hacked or it gets breached or something gets leaked, you're going to be responsible. Your business, well, it can bankrupt a business. I've seen it. So
it's so crazy how
incredibly important. That's what you said. That's
another really tough thing.
Unbelievable.
Well, that was actually the second half of what I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
But we can come back.
We'll come back to that. I didn't even jump to
No,
that.
let's come back to the small claims later.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried about. Let's talk like digital kind of property.
Sure.
Digital. So the data backup.
Yes.
I'm trying to be like a doomsday prepper with it because
Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, because that is a big thing that it's a big blind spot, right?
It is.
I'm what's considered front end for digital.
Yep.
For online business.
Yeah.
You need a back end guy. You need IT, and I just heard of a company called Hello Tech that might be good on more of the home level, like a Geek Squad, but better.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of people that listen are running their business out of their house.
True.
So you have to protect it, encrypt it. You need to get like maybe even an off-site server.
Correct.
That backs it up. Is that what you were saying?
All those are involved. I mean, you have to have encryption protocols. You're going to want to have, depending on how big your business is and how many employees you have, you got to restrict access to certain files that people can get. That's another thing that people do. I know the company I work for, they have all of this stuff already in place, and it's very, very expansive. And they also have, changing your password every 20 to 30 days. Stuff like that. That's the small stuff. And then also having offsite data storage. Even how you store documents in your office that have sensitive information. Do you scan them and upload them electronically to keep them protected and backed up? And,
the link.
What kind of antivirus protections do you have?
The bad link is the phone, really.
Yeah.
Because the phone's more susceptible.
True.
And the phone can lead you to the data that's somewhere.
Sure.
That's we have one here that backs up everything, but that's not the end all be all. It's encrypted.
Good.
And it's landline too.
Yeah, and so that's
it's harder to get.
100% right. And that's why
it's just like when robberies happen, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of the time, or like a lot of stuff at your house that's criminal.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's someone in your neighborhood or someone you know.
Sure.
Like domestic stuff,
no,
right?
Sure, yeah.
Always domestic stuff. But I feel the same way about like you give your Wi-Fi password out.
Yep.
Someone could still have it forever.
True.
If you never change it.
Correct.
And then they can get into your shit. They don't have to physically. They can just be outside of your office. Or
the cyber crimes are being taken by absolutely not putting your fingerprints on a window or opening a door or busting a window or door open. It's done in people in different countries, people in different area codes, different states, different cities. So you're 100% right. And that's why I tell businesses when I advise them, you have to do some of these protocols and you got to make sure you have something in place. If you do nothing and something happens, if you're taking down credit card information from a client or a customer, and you're keeping that information stored, or you're taking automatic withdrawals from someone's account and you're a business doing that because of their monthly payment or whatever it is. If you do nothing, you're technically considered negligent. If someone sues you for those breaches of their data security, and you got to go before a court and answer it, and they're going to ask you what steps have you done, and you didn't do anything or even reasonable under the law to even protect people's information. That's a trust relationship, fiduciary wise. When that gets breached, there's not much you can say to that. You got to do. You have an obligation to do something.
So simple solution, like I use QuickBooks. If I have a credit card authorization, that's a third party that encrypts it.
Correct.
I don't have that information because I don't want it.
You're paying for that service. They're just giving you the right to be able to use their company.
QuickBooks takes a vig I don't appreciate. Really,
yeah, I pay it too. You know that.
Yeah, it's like 3.5% or something like that, and then you pay the monthly subscription or your annual subscription. But for that kind of stuff, that's why I use it. And it's so easy to use.
Right.
But like,
sort of.
That's that. You got to learn it first.
I pay someone to do it.
You got to like take an hour and kind of figure it out.
You don't have that time. No.
You could. What I've been doing? You can watch the YouTube tutorials on your Apple TV. While I was
like, you know what I've been doing?
My nuts.
Is that what you've been doing?
My nuts are moving around.
You're good.
They're binding up. A lot of girth down there. No, I've been watching the YouTube tutorials from the companies at my house while doing the spin bike in our house.
There you go.
Or doing like some sit-ups or something, just so I'm not like burning the day, basically.
That's like studying when you're in law school at the grocery store. You got to use every time you have, make it count.
Would you had a book open while you're walking?
You bring an outline and just while you're trying to grab fruit or something, you just take a look at something. It's all about repetition, man. But like you're saying, same thing. It's important.
So the digital stuff, like, all right, let's go DocuSign.
Sure. talk about this, a big topic.
Because or just any electronic signature.
Yeah.
So here's what it'll dovetail back into the small claims.
No,
But
that's good.
What I like about it is its ease.
Yep.
You make templates. It's a lot of upfront work, just like learning QuickBooks and stuff. But it's that thing of like, ooh, glasses are coming off. But it's that thing of like, for me, I feel like there is something. I don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on it that can make it vulnerable if you ever got to court.
I mean, there's several things that can make it vulnerable, so you're not wrong about that.
But I feel like the e-signature is pretty good because you get the time they viewed the email.
Correct.
You get the time they opened the document in the whatever the third party is. For this
Right.
case, for this example, use
Yeah.
DocuSign because that's what I'm using.
Yeah. They have to consent to it.
Right.
Make sure it is their signature.
It'll get their IP.
You've had to put them on notice that they were going to be signing by e-signature first.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of other things that they have to do, but at the end of the day, when they click and they sign, it's expected and it's already assumed that they've read and understood what they're signing. It's hard for them to back out of it that way. So
Right.
you have the protection there. It's just a question of whether or not you followed the protocols by letting them know that it's going to be e-sign. You've explained the risks of what happens with e-sign, what it means by them
What are those risks?
affixing their signature. Well, there's a lot to it. I mean, a couple of times people will say that they didn't know that when they fix their signature at that time, that's actually binding. That creates the binding agreement, the contract. So you could be signing things, but no, look, that's not the end-all, be-all to start our business relationship. People will think that's just something they have to sign to get it going. You got to let them know that this is what's consummating or starting the business relationship. You also want to let them know that there's certain types of statutes. I like to always quote a statute in mind by letting them know that, look, if you're going to e-sign, there's actual laws out there for e-signing that you can read or follow up and understand, and that are being followed, and that we are in compliance with the statute. You can also talk about the fact that if people are going to be e-signing, that electronic documents are actually binding, and you're going to send them back a copy. Usually they get a copy back sent to them. It's an actual legally binding record.
Yeah, it sends an automatic
Correct.
one on
And
DocuSign, which
right.
I like. Adobe's
Yeah, exactly. And then you also want to make sure people know that, like I said before, it is their signature. Understand that by them signing, that they're taking the responsibility for what they're signing and what it is that they're signing, what it means. Sometimes doing the extra mile can help you avoid ambiguity later by someone saying, well, he wasn't clear enough, he or she wasn't clear enough with me about what I was signing, what it was for. The argument back is always to say, well, don't read something before you sign it, or ask questions before you do it. But sometimes it's so interpersonal, which is what's changing about our societies. You know, I know people hate hearing this. In the old days, we'd sign contracts, we'd shake a hand, but you'd sign in person, or you'd witness them signing by ink. Ink
Right.
signatures are the most undisputed method of proving a signature document.
Yeah.
You can still poke holes in an electronic document. The biggest one people always say is, that wasn't me. Someone went into my email and did it and wrote a name down. Because you technically can put initials down. It might not be the way you would write your initials, or it might not be what you thought was binding you to the contract. It could have been a different email that was sent, a wrong email that was sent, or that's not what you agreed upon. And you might have emails that would show somebody saying, oh, it was supposed to be something else that was sent to me. That's what I thought I was signing. So there's a lot of different ways to poke holes in because they aren't original documents. But again, this is the way society's moving, and it's more efficient, and not everybody can meet up all the time. I mean, not everybody can be in the same office at the same time to meet and sign ink documents.
Yeah, especially with our we're very client-facing.
Right.
We're basically filling in what would be one employee or a part-time employee for a lot of small, medium businesses. So
Yeah.
my whole thing is time efficiency in a lot of ways. But I do send an email and go, here's how we'll start a relationship.
Good.
Or I don't say it that way. I just say, for us to begin the work that was in the proposal,
Right.
I need you to sign this.
Yeah.
We need the deposit paid or whatever, first payment done, and
Sure.
and it needs to be the check needs to be hammered, but it also needs to be transferred. What am I saying? Submitted.
Okay. Yeah.
Because sometimes it can go, you can get a payment and it'll be like, it'll revert because they didn't have enough money in the account.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. So I go,
So
look,
just because you did that doesn't mean the business relationship started. I got to
Right.
actually has to be consummated.
That's to
why
clear.
Everyone's got to do
that's
their
what I
job.
meant.
Clear. Yeah.
It has to clear
So,
through.
But yeah, and again, I mean, and it's good that when they sign, they know all that stuff. Put a disclaimer there about signing electronically, so they understand what's involved.
Yeah.
Not only disclaiming much, but you're putting them on notice of it. And if it's right next to the signature, like I tell my clients and this is just for any contract, anything that's important, anything that has to be bolded or capitalized that you need to let them know about, like have an attorney review this with you, or you have the right to have an independent counsel counsel, like those things where you're like disclaim, letting them know, put them on notice of things. For e-sign documents, it's always good to have that right near the signature, because then they can't miss it, or they can't say it was hidden. You always want terms like that can make or break a contract's execution being effective to not be inconspicuous, but to be conspicuous, where people can see them. Like I said, bolded, right next to the, can't say it was hidden in some other paragraph. That way you have the protection, knowing, and the comfort knowing, look, I've done all I could to put this person on notice of what they're doing. Any other argument to the contrary is going to, not hold any weight.
So, yeah, the other thing, so that it was kind of that thing of like in, because when you bring it to court, here's the deal. You basically, the better you prepare for your attorney, the better it goes. The better you prepare for your accountant, the cheaper it is.
Right. And your better chances of winning.
I made a timeline so long before we went to court, I forgot to kind of read through it.
Yeah.
Because I've got so many things going on, I just kind of forgot the whole timeline.
Sure.
So that was one thing I was like, all right, next time, don't mess up on that. Am I boring you?
Not at all.
Yawn?
You know I don't sleep much. We talked about this. John Gruden sleep pattern.
John Gruden sleep pattern.
I was up real early today working, and don't stop.
Okay, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was more Macho Man.
I love it. That's what I thought too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
that was supposed to be a Gruden though. Okay,
yeah,
boys.
I gotta listen to it. I gotta listen to him or Frank Caliendo.
I thought Gruden was not like okay, boys. I thought he was more like, I'll tell you what, man. Johnny Manziel, man. That's how he kind of talks.
Somewhere in between both of our bad impressions.
Mine was terrible. I'm just letting you know he kind of talks more like that versus, hey, guys.
It's deep Ohio.
I guess so.
Yeah. So the other part was like, I felt like
bad pod right there.
Bad pod. Or great pod. Who knows?
Great pod.
Shows that you have you're vulnerable to bad impressions.
Correct.
So my thing was like, I felt like I was stuttering through the timeline because I didn't reread it a few times, which I should have.
You should do that.
That was another thing. And the last thing was, for me, because we're project or retainer based, right?
Right.
So I need to declarate what's a project and what's a retainer. What's ongoing, that's retainer, basically.
In your contract?
Or services.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, right? The more
it
detail,
doesn't
the
hurt.
better.
I thought you kind of already had that explained because you have a checklist, right?
I do, but here's the other thing about the digital side. If anybody that is listening that is like digital marketer or graphic designer or any of that, you're going to have to explain a lot of stuff, right? So I had to basically break down for 30 minutes like what a Facebook page post is, what's organic versus paid reach,
sure,
the whole process from A to Z,
which most judges won't know. So
right.
You'll have to
so
do that
I had
in court or to your lawyer.
I knew that's what I did prepare.
Good.
Like we communicate with our retainer clients in Slack.
Yeah.
So it has.
Shouts to Slack. We love Slack.
We love Slack. So it has a timeline from when he sent something, and then I took like a screen grab. All right, he would send something, or the company would send something.
Sure.
I take that.
Yeah. No persons are involved in this entity.
No, it's an entity.
Yeah.
I take that photo. I make it better,
sure.
Clean it up,
Sure.
crop it, put a filter on it, whatever. And then I schedule it, place it, put some ad money behind it. And I had to explain that whole process,
sure.
right? So that was something that I was like, oh, I wish we got to figure this out. There needs to be some kind of, there's a lot of agencies like me that would love to be able to pull all these apps together and go, oh, here's the timeline of everything from text, email, where you could put it in.
Yeah.
So just one big aggregate timeline. That's what you and I got to work on.
That's a good thing. I like that.
So that was my one thought. The other thing was, so the small claim stuff. I guess what pragmatic advice do you have for small business owners to not get there first?
Into small claims?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
because I feel like the price can dictate. That's why a lot of people have like a minimum.
It can,
because it's not even worth the time in a lot of ways.
No, I mean,
so if you're doing stuff for $500, a lot of the times you're just gonna go fuck it.
I mean, there's people in Tampa who owe me money that I did work for and I get all of it.
Right.
Good thing I changed my business model around that. Now I don't have any outstanding AR in
up
that
front.
regard. That's it. Only way to do business. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can never truly have a foolproof plan to avoid small court. I mean, you can do things to put you in a better position. So I don't want you to think that what I'm going to say is gospel, or I'll never go to small claims because Steve said this. That's not true. But obviously there's a couple of things. One, obviously your contract has to be as tight as possible, and you have to, I would say, not have too many incremental payments or obligations. You want to make it very clear in your agreements, because I know people do this wrong all the time, is they'll continue to let the relationship drag, or they'll keep doing work when there isn't payment. And you're just so
I'm listening.
So whoever those people may be, you're dragging out the problem and you're making it worse, where it becomes worse to the effect that now you have to sort out, well, were you really following the contract even yourself when it's your own contract? Or were you sometimes creating a whole different business arrangement, which these arguments have been made by clever clients who do get lawyers, well, look, he ignored the contract. He deviated. We were supposed to pay, he or she, but because the person almost waived what we had before and started doing all these different things and was taking part payments and doing this, I thought we had a whole different arrangement. And then when it comes down to you saying, well, look, this has been too long. You haven't paid me all this money. Now I'm taking you to small claims or to any type of court, where that could have been avoided if your contract's clear from the start that I'm only going to do work up to X if I get X from you. Or don't make there be 4 or 5 different incremental payments down the road. Make it 1 or 2. Pay me this at the start and this at the end. And then you can say, look, if there's no progress payments, and if there's something happens in the middle where I haven't got my money by X date, I will shut down all operations. And you're very clear for doing that. But like I said, you're not going to be able to 100% avoid court, because at the end that person can still owe you money. So the smartest thing to always do is get all your money up front for your services.
Yeah.
Now, is that realistic? No, because sometimes you're doing business that your services are costly. Not everybody has that kind of liquid money or capital up front, especially if you're dealing with young entrepreneurs, which I deal with a lot. Sometimes their cash flow doesn't come in until you've created their business for them and they've done a couple of things.
I call it immature businesses.
It's true. That's a good way to put it.
Under 3 years at least is kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely
how
right.
I categorize it.
And so, it's just your contractual arrangement, your understanding of what you can do. You don't want to over leverage your services is basically what I call it. A lot of companies will over leverage their services, where they're willing to continue to do work knowing already that there's either been some type of a breach, or you can tell your client's going to be shorthanded on cash, or you're already in the middle of disputes, which is kind of what I was getting at in the start is, look, we were already at a dispute about what you owe me, or if you're claiming my services aren't good enough, then do not let that linger. You can have things in your contract besides the progress stop dates of services. But instead of going to court, you might want to mandate some type of an informal mediation process or something, perhaps, where we'll work it out before it goes to court, and it's cheaper than going to court.
Uh-huh.
You have a chance to get a resolution, to air out your grievances, and potentially come to a new resolution or a way to solve the problem. And then you can keep going with your business relationship because you've worked out those kinks. But sometimes, just going over Slack or just communicating back and forth or keeping a record, it's going to eventually lead you to court anyway.
Right.
So, like I said, court's there for a reason to resolve disputes. You can never always resolve disputes. The problem or the issue you want to do legally to protect yourself is to put yourself in the best position you can to prove your case. And that's why keeping records, like you said, and doing things like that are important. But, this is America. People can bring suits all the time for almost anything. So
yeah.
You're never going to be able to be stopped from having access to courts. Hey, I agree, USA. So... But
that's a good stopping point, man. I think.
Yeah, I don't want to ramble too much, but
you're a rambling man.
Am I though? I'm
like
pretty direct. Is that who sings that song?
Yeah.
I don't know, I listen to different stuff. Sure.
Shit, I gotta get you.
You look like Leonard Skinner.
I wish. My hair needs to be longer.
Does it?
Yeah.
Man bun isn't enough right now.
Hey, the pride of Florida, man.
That's it.
Leonard Skinner. Did you know that?
He died in a plane accident. No.
Yeah, but from Jacksonville.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know why they're named Leonard Skinner?
I do not. Was his name Leonard Skinner?
Their PE coach.
Come on.
You
serious? You made that up?
No, that was their PE.
More
coach.
useless facts here on the Sweat Equity Podcast. No, I'm kidding.
I'm a treasure trove of
useless. That is 100% true.
That's why I do what I do. 50 feet wide, 4 feet deep.
There you go. So did I answer your question about that small claim? Oh, I feel like I didn't because, like I said, you can say I'm going to avoid court and you can still bring a claim.
Well, first off, we can't give legal advice anyway. So
no, this is all just hypothetical type talking.
Yeah, and this is a comedy show, by the way.
True.
So. Technically, Cigar City Comedy LLC.
Lots of money in that company. Lots of assets.
No, you could try. It's an empty bag.
Well, it has to have some capitalization or it can't exist as a company. So it's not totally empty.
Yeah, but it's what they call back in the day an empty bag.
Sure.
Anyway, I think that's a good stopping point. I think
Sure.
we're not going to nail everything because, look,
No.
the reason both of us have the occupations we do is because the amount of variables involved, there is just unlimited permutations. And so we're not going to be able to nail everything
Well, we
for
can.
everybody.
We just can't do it in 40 minutes. But I think we can get pretty
Oh,
close.
yeah, sure.
I know I could.
When we
I know
do
you
the
could.
live one, that'll be interesting.
They
That'll be
will
fun.
for sure.
Yeah.
But plus, your dad also told us we got to get outside and enjoy this very good Florida weather, so we shouldn't be inside all day.
Surprisingly gave this weird advice after we had breakfast with
We had
him.
breakfast with
Yeah.
him today. Legend though.
He's
It
like,
was
"What
awesome.
are you doing? Get outside." We're
Yeah,
like, "Huh?"
he's like, I'm going. He goes, I got a tea time in like 30 minutes. I got to get out of here.
We're like,
we're going to pod.
We're going to work.
Yeah, I got to meet the client later. We got a pod. We got stuff to do.
I've got like 7 clients work to do today, so
we'll be on his level soon and just teeing up whenever we feel like it.
yeah,
right?
work a lot in your 20s and 30s, and you can play golf at 12:30 every
That's what I'm
Saturday and
getting
Sunday.
at. That's the plan.
So,
Yeah.
all right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
FantettiLegal.com. What should they follow you on? Anything?
Just go to FantettiLegal.com.
All right. You don't want to do the social, any of that?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter if you want, Steven C. Fan.
It's gonna be a lot of football
a
stuff.
lot of football stuff.
A lot of
yeah.
basketball.
Yeah, a lot of NBA. A lot, not much legal. I try to keep the work stuff at the work stuff. But I mean, like I said, you follow my website, you get all the information about services and how we help businesses across Tampa and the state of Florida. But that's pretty much it. I'm not really here to plug anything. I'm here to just help you, man. I'm here to help out the podcast.
Yeah, but I mean,
I love doing the pods with you.
Yeah, but man, I appreciate it. And but it also, you never know how this will help long term.
Oh,
we always have this video captured. We can take this and kind of milk it out there.
Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it'll be on your site.
Sure it will.
But I'll take out all the customers.
Okay. I know there were any.
There were. All right. Appreciate it.